They're gone! They're all voices overlapping, panic breaking. Repeat, we fired! Wrong line! Wrong! Cancel fire! Cancel! It's our own God! It's our own men! Static, voices fading, urgency collapsing into silence.
4:17 hours. The 12th of November, 1917, the Western Front. Ridgeline north of Passchendaele. A single wrong word. A single number misread. That was all it took to kill thousands. The radio screamed it into being.
Do you copy? Artillery grid F7, F7. No, wait. Correction. Hold fire. Hold. Negative, negative. Confirm F7. They're massing. Fire for effect. You'll hit our own men, damn it. Cancel. Cancel. Static overlapping voices. Panic rising. Orders colliding. Voices breaking. That's silence.
That was the first fracture. It opened like a vein across the ridge, and everything spilled out. The ridge at Passchendaele was not ground. It was a wound. Mud stretched for miles, broken by shallow craters filled with black water. Trees stood like charred bones. Barbed wire snaked across the fields, half buried, slick with rain. The stench of rotten gas never left the wind. In the gray light before dawn, men crouched in shallow trenches carved into clay. Faces caked in mud, helmets slick, hands shaking. They whispered to themselves. They stared at nothing. They swallowed bile and thought of home. The boy beside me was 17, maybe 18. He kept wiping his hands on his trousers, over and over, though they were already raw. His eyes never blinked. I knew that look. He was already somewhere else, already dying before the bullets found him. Behind us, the artillery waited. Black silhouettes of guns lined the rise. Crews adjusted elevation, checked shells, ran hands across steel. Horses, ribs showing, dragged carts of ammunition through the sludge. Every motion carried the weight of repetition, trained, mechanical, but trembling beneath the surface. The officers walked the line. Boots heavy in mud, voices low, eyes darting. They spoke of timing, formations, courage. But when they looked away, I saw their throats tighten. Their hands shook when they lit cigarettes. Even they felt the shadow crawling toward us. Scouts had returned hours earlier. They spoke of enemy trenches dug deeper than expected, wire untouched, machine guns waiting like jaws in the fog, and somewhere, something else. Whispers of a new weapon, a device hauled forward under tarps, guarded day and night. None of us knew what it was. Only that command whispered its name like a secret curse. The air was heavy, damp, swollen, waiting. Every sound cracked like thunder in our skulls, the creak of wood, the clink of metal, the cough of a man trying to hide his fear. I could feel my own pulse against my helmet strap, thudding faster than the clock hands dragging toward 0 hour. Then the order came down. Coordinates whispered, scribbled, passed along. A slip of paper, a line of numbers. Too many hands touched it. Too many voices repeated it. By the time it reached the guns, it was no longer pure. It had changed, but no one knew. Not yet. The boy beside me muttered a prayer. His lips trembled. His hands clutched the straps of his rifle. I wanted to tell him not to bother, but I stayed silent. I thought of my own father. The day I left, he said, "War doesn't kill you clean. It forgets you in the mud." He had been right so far. The artillery captain raised his hand. A watch ticked toward the moment. 4:30 hours. The world inhaled. The ridge turned silent. The first shell screamed overhead. The ground shook. Mud exploded skyward, and the ridge was swallowed in fire. And with that first shot, the mistake began its work. 6:12 hours. The 12th of November, 1917. Northern approach. Passchendaele Ridge. We moved like shadows through the wreckage. Columns of men, bent low, rifles pressed against chests, mud sucking at our boots. The air thick with mist and smoke. Every step felt wrong, too loud, too slow. The silence between shells was the worst. It left room for thought, and thought meant fear. Ahead stretched the rise, churned earth, black with rain, gouged by shell holes. 100 craters, all brimming with water. Some rippled with gas bubbles, some held bodies half submerged, arms outstretched as if reaching for us. Orders came in fragments. Hold. Down. Advance 2 lines. Keep distance. The voices of officers sounded rehearsed, but I could hear the crack in them. The boy stayed beside me. He carried his rifle wrong, barrel dragging near the mud. His knuckles white on the strap, his breath too fast. He muttered something I couldn't hear. I didn't ask him to repeat it. Behind us, the guns kept pounding. The earth never stilled. But the blasts fell. Odd. Too close. Sometimes too far. Shells landed where the map said the enemy was, but the scouts had spoken otherwise. Wire uncut, trenches deeper, coordinates questioned. A lieutenant near the front kept glancing at his map, then back at the horizon. His lips moved silently, repeating numbers. I caught one phrase under his breath, "God help us if that's wrong." The thought stayed with me. It dug into the marrow. What if the numbers are wrong? What if every shell is carving into nothing? Or worse, into us? We passed the carcass of a horse, swollen and split, skin pale like wax. Flies clouded its eyes. The boy gagged. I pulled him forward. His boots slipped, nearly dragging us both down into the mire. The mist shifted, and for a heartbeat, the ridge appeared clear. Enemy trenches cut deep, sandbags dark with rain, wire glinting like teeth. Movement behind them, helmets, shapes darting, waiting. My throat closed. I felt the weight of their gaze, even across the no man's land. The certainty that they saw us, that they were patient, that we were walking into their jaws. The column halted. Men crouched low, breathing ragged. Orders trickled down the line. Prepare to cut through. Wire ahead. Check bayonets. The metallic clicks of steel rang out, sharp, hollow. A chorus of fear. I slid mine into place. My hands trembled. I pressed them tighter until the leather strap dug into my palm. The lieutenant with the map walked past us again. His boots sank deep, almost lost in the muck. His eyes flicked to the horizon, then to his watch. He whispered, "Too early. Too damned early." He was right. The barrage hadn't shifted far enough. The creeping fire lagged, hammering into ground we had already been ordered to cross. If we went forward now, we would be moving beneath our own guns. But the order had already gone. The chain couldn't be reversed. The machine had been set in motion. I thought of the slip of paper. The numbers passed down. Too many voices, too many hands. Changed once, twice, maybe more. Nobody knew which version reached the artillery, and in that fog, in that silence between barrages, I felt the weight of it. One mistake, small, invisible, growing larger with every step. The boy asked me, quietly, "Do you think we'll make it?" I didn't answer. My mouth was too dry. My tongue stuck to the roof of my throat. I only tightened my grip on the rifle. He looked at me, waiting. Then he looked down at the mud and didn't ask again. The order came, the word we had been waiting for, advance. The line moved, boots dragged, mud swallowed. Men stepped into no man's land. The ridge loomed closer, wire glittered. Enemy rifles waited. Every breath felt stolen, and in the back of my skull, louder than the thunder of guns, louder than the screams of the earth, a single thought beat like a drum. If the numbers are wrong, we are already dead. 3 hours. The 12th of November 1917. No man's land. Passchendaele Ridge. The first shot came from the ridge. A crack. A spark. The man 2 steps ahead of me folded without a sound. Then the sky broke open. Machine guns roared. Dozens. Hundreds. The ridge erupted in fire. Men dropped. Mud sprayed. Screams tore the fog apart. The line collapsed into chaos. I hit the ground. My face slammed into mud. Cold water filled my mouth. I spat, gasping, chest heaving. My heart hammered against the earth. The boy beside me froze. He stared at the man who had fallen ahead of us, stared at the body, crumpled, twisted, unmoving. His lips moved, but no sound came. I grabbed his collar, yanked him down. Bullets hissed over our helmets, cutting the air like knives. One struck metal nearby, sparks spitting against rain. The air reeked of cordite, burned powder, and blood. Every breath scorched the lungs. Our artillery should have been ahead of us. It should have cleared the wire, smashed the guns, broken their cover, but it hadn't. Shells still landed behind the ridge, hammering empty mud. Wrong coordinates. Wrong timing. The creeping barrage was crawling too far, too slow. We were in the open, alone. The lieutenant with the map screamed orders, his voice already raw, breaking. Forward. Get to the wire. Move. Men obeyed because disobedience was death. They rose, sprinted. Some made 3 steps before crumpling. Others fell screaming, clutching wounds that gushed black into the mud. The boy stumbled after them. His boots slipped. His bayonet glinted. His breath came in sobs. I followed. Not by courage, by instinct, by the terror of staying still. The ground bucked as shells landed closer. The mistake twisted sharper, more grotesque. A line of shells fell short. Too short. They landed on us. The man to my right vanished, swallowed by dirt, steel, and smoke. My ears rang. My legs trembled. My teeth clamped until they ached. When the haze cleared, nothing of him remained but shreds. I thought, this is what the numbers have done. This is the weight of a slip of paper. We reached the first coil of wire, tangled, glistening, unbroken. Hands tore at it. Pliers snapped, blades hacked, fingers bled, all under fire. Bullets rattled helmets like hammers. Men screamed through clenched teeth as they worked. One soldier pulled at the wire with bare hands until his skin peeled off in strips. He didn't stop. The boy pushed beside me, cutting with shaking hands. His face twisted, teeth bared, eyes wide with terror. His blade slipped, sliced his palm. He gasped, blood mixing with rain. Still he cut. Still he fought. The lieutenant dragged a wounded man aside, shouting, "Keep moving, keep cutting. They'll slaughter us here." The man bled out in his arms before the words left his lips. The ridge spat more fire. Machine guns swept side to side, cutting through us like wheat. Bodies stacked against the wire, limbs tangled in steel. Blood seeped into the soil until the mud itself turned red. We pressed forward over the dead. No choice, no other path. The weight of their bodies beneath my boots burned into me. Then came the mortars. The enemy lobbed shells from behind their trench, arcs vanishing into fog, then plunging down like thunderbolts. Each blast sent shards of earth and bone skyward. My stomach clenched. My ears bled. My vision swam in gray and black. The boy fell once. I hauled him up, screaming into his face. "Move. Move." His eyes didn't see me. They saw something else, something broken, far away. But he stumbled on. The mistake grew larger, louder. Every shell that fell short killed one of ours. Every meter of unbroken wire pinned us in place. Every misread number carved deeper into our flesh. Men shouted it aloud now. "They're hitting us. Our own guns." Some screamed at the sky. Some begged the ground to open and swallow them. Still, the lieutenant pushed us forward. His voice shredded, throat raw. He drove us with the only thing left, momentum. Because stopping meant dying where we stood. I forced myself through a gap in the wire. The steel tore my sleeve, cut deep into my arm. Hot blood ran down into my glove. I barely felt it. The pain was drowned by fire, by fear, by the thunder in my chest. Beyond the wire lay open ground, flat and slick. And beyond that, the enemy trench. Dark mouths in the earth, guns waiting. I thought, we won't make it. We can't. But still I moved. Still the boy moved. Still the lieutenant screamed. And above it all, louder than the battle, louder than death itself. The thought kept hammering. One mistake, one slip, one number, and it is killing us all. 8:41 hours, the 12th of November 1917. Forward trench line, Passchendaele Ridge. The trench was a mouth. We hurled ourselves into it, bodies colliding, boots slipping, rifles raised. The earth swallowed us whole. Bayonets struck, steel against flesh, throats opened. Screams ripped through the fog. The enemy were waiting. Helmets low, rifles steady, eyes cold. They moved like ghosts, precise, merciless. The boy plunged his bayonet into a man's chest. His eyes went wide, as if shocked that it worked, that death could be so fast. He yanked it out. Blood sprayed across his face. He gagged, stumbled, but kept moving. The trench boiled. Grenades burst, mud and bone flying. Men clawed, wrestled, smashed helmets with rifle butts. The smell of iron filled the air. Blood, steel, rust. I shoved a man back, struck him with the butt of my rifle. His skull cracked. My hands went numb. My chest heaved like a bellows. My lungs burned raw. The lieutenant led from the front, pistol in hand, shouting over the chaos. His voice cut through the roar. Forward. Drive them out. His eyes blazed with fury, with something more than duty, something like desperation. As though by sheer force he could correct the mistake, bleeding us dry. We pushed deeper. The trench twisted, narrow, slick with gore. Bodies piled in corners, limbs twisted underfoot. The boy tripped, fell against me, sobbing, his rifle slipping from his grasp. I shoved it back into his hands, screamed, "Hold it! Don't let go!" His fingers clutched it like a drowning man clutches driftwood. Then the sound came, a low rumble. Alien, unnatural. The trench walls trembled. Something moved through the mist beyond the ridge. Massive, grinding, crawling, the secret weapon. Men stopped, eyes wide, mouths dry. Even the enemy hesitated. It emerged like a beast from smoke, armored, angular, a monster of steel. Tracks chewed mud, gears shrieked, guns protruded from its flanks. A tank, but not like the ones we'd heard whispers of before. This one was heavier, wider, plated with new armor no bullet could pierce. It fired, a roar like the sky itself splitting. The trench ahead exploded, bodies flung like ragdolls. For a heartbeat, we believed. We thought this beast was ours. We thought it would save us. But then, it turned its guns too wide. The barrels shifted. Shells struck short. Our men screamed as the steel rain fell among us. The mistake had reached the machine. The wrong numbers, the wrong grid. The weapon did not know friend from foe. The lieutenant's face broke. He waved, screamed, arms flailing. Signal them. Hold fire. Hold. A shell cut him in half. The blast hurled me into the wall of the trench. My ears went dead. My vision blurred. My chest rattled with broken breath. When I lifted my head, nothing of him remained but shreds. The boy staggered to me, face white, eyes blank with horror. He shouted, but I couldn't hear. His mouth formed words that didn't reach me. His hands shook, blood dripping from his fingers. Behind him, the tank crawled closer. Its treads crushed bodies, enemy and ours alike. Screams rose, muffled under the grinding steel. It fired again. The trench collapsed. The world dissolved into earth, blood, and smoke. We were trapped. The mistake had closed the jaws around us. Our artillery rained on our own men. The tank tore through friend and foe without distinction. The enemy pressed from the ridge, machine guns stitching the air. Every path out was death. My lungs seized. My legs refused to move. I clutched the mud, nails tearing, teeth grinding. I thought, this is it. This is where we vanish. This is where the mistake swallows us whole. The boy still stood. His chest heaved. His face streaked red. His bayonet dripping. He screamed into the smoke, voice cracking, furious, broken. Stop shooting at us. The tank answered with fire. The blast consumed him. One moment he was there, shaking, bleeding, alive. The next he was ash and fragments. My stomach tore open with grief. My throat ripped raw, but no sound left me. The trench buckled. The ridge thundered. The mistake had become unstoppable. What began as a slip of numbers was now a tidal wave of death, and we were nothing but debris caught in its flood. 23 hours. The 12th of November, 1917. Collapsed forward line. Passchendaele Ridge. The world had gone quiet. Not silent, never silent, but quiet in the way of endings. Smoke drifted low, hugging the ground. The mud no longer moved. The guns no longer answered. Bodies lay twisted, sprawled across wire, half buried in sludge, stacked in trenches that no longer held shape. Flies found them already. The tank was gone. It had crawled on, smoke trailing, leaving only ruin in its path. Friend and foe crushed together, indistinguishable. I crawled through what remained of the trench. My hands slipped on blood, on fragments of bone. My knees sank in water that was no longer water. The boy was gone. The lieutenant was gone. Everyone I had looked to vanished. My chest rattled when I breathed. Each inhale tore my throat. Each exhale tasted of smoke and iron. Around me, a few men still moved. Not soldiers anymore. Just shapes dragging themselves through mud, eyes hollow, limbs trembling. They did not speak. They only coughed, or wept, or stared at nothing. Then the radio cracked alive.
command, do you static grid F7 correction? Confirm F7. Do you copy? They're gone. They're all voices overlapping, panic breaking. Repeat, we fired. Wrong line. Wrong. Cancel fire. Cancel. It's our own God. It's our own men. Static. Voices fading. Urgency collapsing into silence.
I pressed my forehead against the mud. I wanted to scream, but my lungs had nothing left. Only a rasp. Only a whimper. One slip. One digit wrong, and the weight of it crushed 6,000 lives. By dusk, the ridge was quiet again. The enemy had pulled back. Not out of fear, out of pity maybe, or disbelief. There was nothing left to kill. We survivors, if we could be called that, sat among ruins. We did not speak. Words had no shape after what we'd seen. I remember looking at my hands, trembling, raw, soaked in blood that was not mine. I thought of the boy. The way his lips moved in prayer, the way he screamed at the tank, the way he vanished. He had no name left in this world, no grave, only mud. History will call it strategy. They will write of artillery, of weather, of weapons deployed. They will measure ground gained, lives lost, tonnage fired. But I was there. I know, it was not strategy. It was not war. It was one misstep. One wrong number, one mistake that buried us all. And the ridge keeps it still, in its mud, in its silence, in the weight of the dead who cannot speak. Military records confirm that the artillery barrage at Passchendaele misfired by several hundred yards, falling directly on advancing infantry. Combined with the deployment of untested armored units, the error cost thousands of lives in a matter of hours. Survivors rarely spoke of it. When they did, they said the same thing. It was a mistake, and it was enough.